All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode 18 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast, 20 minutes with some of the world's top fitness professionals. I'm your host, Anthony Arena. You can check out the show notes at stop20podcast.com. That's stop20podcast.com. Before you do that, make sure you go to iTunes and subscribe to the show or wherever you listen to podcasts. But make sure you leave us a rating and a review. We've been getting some reviews lately. It's really important to kind of get the word out there. All right, for today's episode, I have on my old friend Charlie Weingroff. And Charlie is a doctor of physical therapy, certified athletic trainer, a CSCS. He's also a member of the Nike Executive Performance Council. He is the physical performance lead and the head strength and conditioning coach for the Canadians men's national basketball team. He works out at Drive 495 in New York City and Fit for Life in Marlborough, New Jersey. Sometimes you hear a lot of hype about therapists or trainers on the internet or maybe from friends, but I can tell you when it comes to Charlie, believe the hype. He's that good. I know from personal experience as a patient, also as someone who refers patients to him, so some of my clients that have gone to him and some of the clients that he's sent to me. So if you're in New York City or Marlborough, New Jersey, and you're in pain, go to Charlie. He's the man. Charlie, thanks for coming on.
What's up, man? That's we're good to go now. I got all my free advertising out of it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks
all
for
very
coming.
flattering.
All right.
Yeah, good to go.
Well, I really do mean that. And, look, I say it a lot about a lot of people, but I know from personal experience from being a patient. So
cool.
Good stuff. Charlie, what's that story? What was that spark that kind of got you into a fitness lifestyle?
I don't know that it's different than maybe a lot of other people. It's not much of a sensational story, but I remember being 9 years old and bench pressing 95 pounds. I remember my dad taking me down into the basement where we had the sand-filled weights and then some kind of rubber band device. Like I remember it wasn't Soloflex, but it was like that. And I was always, not that I'm skinny now, but I was always fat little kid. And it seemed like I was a lot better at lifting weights than I was at running or doing things for a long period of time. I've come to now learn that it's because I'm genetically fast twitch. That's yeah. And then you get to a point in your in schooling and education that you're not gonna be a professional athlete, and then got funneled into the to our profession. And originally as an athletic trainer, and that was what I was gonna. I kind of knew I wanted to do that at that time. I thought that becoming a physician, you didn't get to spend a lot of time with people. I've come since to see that was correct. It's just not the same. But so being an athletic trainer was what I wanted to do, and then went on, instead of getting my master's in kinesiology or exercise physiology, my advisor in my first year in college said, you have the grades, just go to physiotherapy school, and then you have all these other options. And then every job there seemed to tumble. And I think it was just there's just something about being in a team, and there's something about the thrill of victory that if we wanted to be a part of that, from my own experiences as somebody that since went on to accomplish some kind of cool things as a competitive powerlifter and etc. The way to do that was to be a little bit on the support side rather than being an athlete. So I imagine a lot of people have that same story, but I remember my dad probably taking me downstairs, and maybe that was his way of trying to get me not to be so chunky, but I found out that I was pretty good at lifting heavy things and putting them down.
Charlie, that's okay. So that was you kind of answered my question about like kind of why you went to the basement. Maybe your dad, not specifically sure, but like, did you kind of keep it up though? Because you're only 9. I mean, so were you just like, did you just see these crazy results in terms of like you're getting stronger, or what kind of kept you going?
I think I have to track back on the schedule, but I remember it was one summer where I think it was between 7th and 8th grade, where for most of the summer my diet consisted of diet soda and gum, and I wound up losing a whole lot of weight, and so I then I was always really good at lifting, and that was how I got better at sport, because I'd like to think I didn't suck, but I was never the best. And then whatever mindset that my parents put in me, I played goalie, and I played baseball, in a certain way, that because of my name Charlie, then I became Charlie Hustle, and then because I played like Pete Rose, and it just seemed like the way I could be better was playing with an intensity that was very similar to lifting weights, and it was just something that I was good at. I think we always continue to just do things that you're good at, and it was always about becoming better at sport, so I could keep up with the guys that were more talented than me.
All right, yeah, it's interesting. Now, anybody who follows you on any social media knows you're into superheroes, but this is a little different.
All right.
Who was your superhero growing up? Who was that person that kind of influenced you the most?
See, this is the one, because you give out the questions beforehand, and I look back and I don't know that answer. I don't. It's not to say that my parents were not people that I looked up to, but I don't have an answer. There was no one person that really, I can say that was the one I tried to emulate. I mean, there was athletes that you tried to emulate in how I played baseball and hockey, but I really don't remember there being anybody, and I certainly don't have an answer with a name that I would have called a superhero that I looked up to when I was younger. So I have to take a pass on that one.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why you like them, some of the superheroes now. But
that must be it.
Charlie, anybody now that you kind of look up to? I mean, you're around a lot of amazing people in many of your different jobs and roles, and so is there anybody that like you look up to now that's doing some great things that you feel like you're looking up to?
It's probably not a person that, and it's not because there's so many that I could name many and I'll leave people out. But there's what I look up to is like there's people that have a lifestyle that where they can kind of shift into neutral or second gear, and I'm not very good at doing that. And I look up to these people that, like, oh yeah, I was just in Starbucks and I was just reading for 3 hours. I'm like, remember, I'm in New York City a lot. Like, I don't know where that Starbucks is where it's quiet enough to read. But like, exactly. But I look up to these individuals that have figured out this incredible balance of everything. Now, remember, when you see the surface, you don't always know what's going on behind the scenes. But I really look up to these people that appear to have this balance between family and work and recreation and outside interests, et cetera. And it's something that I think we all like to say that we strive to those things, but I look up to I guess if I have to give you a name, obviously not only through the teaching circuit, but there's a lot of big brothers that I have, and the one that I think I could talk about is Greg Rose, and where every year Greg taught me something, and I really use this, and I'm so in debt to this thought process. Like, there's things that you have to do or you need to do. There's things that you want to do, and then there's things that would be nice to do, or things that you need, things that you want to have, and things that would be nice to have. And you start your year off by putting things on your schedule. You would think that you would start with what you need to do. You don't. You start with what you like to do, and you start to build that out. Now, what I do, especially recently, I delete those and put things on top of it. And I wish I look up to the people that have that ability to keep those things in and be satisfied with everything else that they have going on. It's an interesting thing. It's not necessarily one person, but a lot of the people that seem to be able to find the time and how they're able to say no to things.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's hard to do. I actually a lot of distractions. I think I'm listening to Deep Work from Cal Newport right now, based on Nick Winkelman's recommendation. It's amazing, and it's kind of helped me a little bit. But agreed. And Greg Rose is he's certainly somebody that a lot of people might look up to as a superhero as well.
Yeah.
Charlie, you have a lot of roles as well. Like I said before, who are you trying to be a superhero to? Who are the people you're trying to help with what you're doing?
So this one I have a canned answer because I really wanted this one to be poignant. I'd love to be able to be the superhero for the people that don't want me to be their superhero. I think when there's two parts to this. One, when someone says something to you, or there's a message and it doesn't click, and it just doesn't meet your current set of standards. I think what a lot of people do is they just immediately push back. There's a line that you'll see in like social media. It's like we communicate for the purposes, we listen for the purposes to respond, rather than understand. And I want to be a superhero for the people that hear something that doesn't wash to them and before they respond, I wish they would be able to do something that Herm Edwards, a former NFL coach, he's on the ESPN. I listen to him a lot. I mean, this is the coach that I would want to play for. Don't hit send. And when you hear something that doesn't really wash, before you respond, like, what is this person really trying to say? And is this person really trying to hurt me? Is this person really trying to be mean? Is this person trying to belittle me? Or in essence, is really trying to help you? And I wish that I could be better at providing that the way to shape the message for the people that don't want to hear it, because there's a way to help. And no one is saying things to hurt people, but rather to help them, and to be able to be a superhero for people that to see that messages perhaps of restriction or messages of omission are really the best answers to create a solution.
Love it. Interesting. Charlie, I know you go to a lot of workshops and seminars, and a lot of us kind of look to you to see what you've been doing. What's the last one you kind of went to, and just give us one of your takeaways from it.
Let's see. The last course that I went to was a few weeks ago, and it was a seminar where the scope of what the fellow named Rick Daigle was trying to teach was using instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization. But and I thought it was really cool because it was like his approach, and it wasn't just take this thing and scrape on somebody. He had a whole litany of different tools that everybody could use, and it was really more principle-driven than use this particular tool. And I thought that was while getting access to the techniques wasn't the biggest take home, but we don't have a lot of courses. Maybe we do have them. We just seem to like the ones that just create lanes, and like they're really, really tight lanes, where he had really, really wide lanes, and then not only showed you how to use the tools, but then followed up with some taping and followed up with some exercise. And it really, kind of embodied a lot of stuff that I try and talk about, not so much from a clinical perspective, but like, look, that might be three people that have to work together rather than just one person. And that was the last course that I went to. It was very satisfying up there. What was the name of North Jersey? So I don't even remember that it even had a name. Like, he calls it like, I asked him, which is a generic term, instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization. Okay. And I think he created a certification and talked a lot about the science of when you take a tool and do what a lot of people would describe as scraping. Like, what is it? Like, how does this work? And why do people get better? And why do sometimes people look bruised? But then also, what do you do after that? Once this technique gets you to a certain point, you're not good. You need to do something else. And it really it embodied a lot of different things about reset, reinforce, and reload, something that Gray Cook taught me 2011, 2010, and how you can fill in a lot of your own blanks So the reset was the instruments, the reinforcement was using some kinesiology taping, and then the reload was exercise. But you could fill in lots of different things. So the take home that I know he wanted to try to get to people that, no, this isn't just use this scraping technique. This is, how do you have, more broad principles of which you can do a lot of different things. And I thought he did a pretty good job of trying to get that across.
Nice.
Yeah.
On a side note, I remember a month ago, you had posted, how many of your superheroes have gone to some of these workshops or a seminar by themselves. And it was interesting because I've probably done that like 5 times in my life. Because the more you do these things, the more you kind of do gravitate towards some of the friends. But I went to one down in Nashville a couple weeks ago by myself. Didn't know one person. And I got to say, you and I actually we went to Todd Wright's together. We shared our hotel room. But it is different when you go there by yourself. Really quick, what was the last one that you went to by yourself, didn't know anybody?
That one. The one I just said was.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think there was more people that knew me, but I think there's probably a combination of 2 tweets where maybe Herm Edwards would have told me don't hit send on those, but there were people that knew me. But a lot of times, I think what the message that I was really trying to get at was. Oh, there was 2. One of them, there's people that a lot of people look up to that have not ever taken a course in probably the last 20 years, and you can tell in the tone of voice that it's disturbing. These are people that love talking great about other models, but they've never even taken the course themselves. They've never actually gone on Expedia and bought a flight and got a hotel room and paid to actually sit. And learn from someone else. They're real excited to talk about all these other models but they've never actually, and people don't know that. And I think if they did, these silly messengers would probably be devalued. But the other one was to me, you always have to be on, and I think sometimes when you go to a course and you just want to kind of sit in the back and digest a little bit. It was pleasant to do that, and then also if you're people that are friends, they think alike. So if you always go to courses where your friends are going, it's not that the courses are suspect. It's more that the more you go to the same things because you like to go to things with your friends and spend time with your friends, the narrow lanes become even more narrow and they're harder to break out. Where then all of a sudden you hear a message that's not necessarily within those lanes. That if you actually pick the courses based on other reasons other than the ones that your friends like to go to, I think that it would be to be able to develop a more eclectic view of the training and rehabilitation process. So there's a series of 3 or 4 tweets that are just a very sociological view, and maybe I shouldn't have hit send on some of them, but I don't really. I think I'll be okay.
I'll tell you though, one quick note on that was that I felt like I did get a little more out of it, not kind of knowing people there. So it was very cool. All right, Charlie, now it's time for the stop and give me 5 rapid fire questions and answers. So we're going to try to find out some things that we might, if we looked around your social media, we'll probably figure some of these things out. Charlie, favorite superhero?
Green Lantern.
All right. Least favorite superhero?
Least favorite superhero. Who's lame? Who has no skills? I want to say Wolverine. He doesn't click to me. Yeah.
All right. Tell him that next time he comes into the gym.
That's part of why I don't like it.
Charlie, Desert Island, they're opening a restaurant. I know you love to go to different restaurants. You can only pick one. They're going to open this restaurant on your Desert Island. What restaurant are you going to have them open?
Dinosaur Barbecue.
Love it. Awesome. All-time favorite, go way back, doesn't matter, WWE athlete or wrestler.
Shane McMahon.
All right. Most despised WWE.
Yeah, John Cena.
All right. That's the one I knew we would figure out.
Yeah, that's easy.
Charlie.
Selfish dude.
Charlie, last 2 minutes. What's a project that you're working on that's kind of getting you really excited?
the I have a role with a company called Active Core, which is a lot of the discussions came like I think I've gotten to certain points where it's like really exciting what Don and I have been able to do at Drive in terms of pinch gripping, my thoughts and putting it into play. But what I don't have the ability is to scale it. I don't have the ability to put it on a vehicle and take it to a lot of other places. And that's where I'm really excited for Active Core to digest my model, my mind, and then put it on a vehicle and scale it to be able to take it to a level where this type of physical therapy that you were so flattering, it's very hard for me to even describe it. That's why these other people that are more keen to business and et cetera, they're gonna try to translate it into something that's very, very exciting.
Love it. Great stuff. I'll have a link for that on stop20podcast.com. Charlie, last about a minute. What's the letter to your younger self? What's that advice you give yourself?
I've answered this once before, and it's a really, really it's interesting to me. But I'm sticking with the same answer. What I wish I had done, even as soon as maybe it was yesterday, I wish I was better at accepting mediocrity. And it's a weird thing because if I did that, maybe you don't even want to talk to me. Maybe I haven't been able to do the things that I've done. Except I think I would have much less dissent and discord, and I'd have more bouts of contentment, like the superheroes that I look up to, the people that can just turn it off. If I was able to accept mediocrity, maybe that would be something. And maybe if I had accepted it, I'd figured out a way to both accept it and continue to drive. But that's, I remember people even telling me, Charlie, can you turn it off for one day? And I'm like, dude, I guess not. I guess I can't. And it's a weird thing because mediocrity is something that I think a lot of people accept, and they don't even know that they're being mediocre. And then here I'm saying that I wish I could do what they do because they might be, I'm not going to say a happier person, but they'll have less discord. And but maybe that's the right thing to do. But I would write that to myself. I wish I was able to do that. I know I'd still be in professional sports if I accepted mediocrity. Maybe my situation at Marsac would have been different if I accepted mediocrity. And I know that those situations have driven me to bigger and better things, but I know it wouldn't have sucked as much at the time. And professional sports never sucked. But like a lot of people, we get pushed out because if you don't accept mediocrity and you're not just happy to be there, it doesn't work anymore. So that's what I would say. I wish I would have been able to figure out how to accept mediocrity and maybe look at the big picture and not individual battles as much.
Very interesting answer. And I guess a lot of us are saying we're glad you don't accept mediocrity because we learn a lot from you and you've been teaching a lot of us for a long time. And certainly your patients are happy that you don't accept mediocrity. So we appreciate you in the business. I appreciate you as a person and as somebody who's kind of, come up in the business with you. So Charlie, thanks so much for coming on today and kind of getting a little deeper look into you.
Cool, thank you. All very, very flattering. It's an interesting series of questions. We're not talking about the joint by joint or the autonomic nervous system. So exactly. It was weary, and I hope people can hear a different voice. Sometimes when the questions are a little bit different because it's not necessarily about how someone else should conduct themselves or comport themselves or rehab and train, but you're just asking questions about me. It's flattering somebody's interested, so thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 18 of the Stop and Give Me 20 podcast. Thanks again to Charlie Weingroff. Make sure to check out all the links to all of his stuff at stop20podcast.com. Don't forget, subscribe to the show. Please leave a rating and a review. It'll really help us out. My name's Anthony Renna. Thanks so much for stopping by.